Are you guys ready for one of the most spookiest Lizzoween videos of all? Hey Lizzanators, what's up? Welcome back to another video, episode 7 of Lizzoween. This is the second last episode of Lizzoween, so I thought I'd make it a little bit spooky and tell you guys some spooky stories. I wrote them all down here in my book. I have probably about 4 stories that I'm going to share with you, and I hope you guys enjoy. So let's get into the spooky storytelling. I have my drink. Put on my glasses so I can read better. Alright, so the first spooky story that we are going to be telling is Click Click Slide. I read this last year in one of my other videos, but this is a better version of it, so I thought I would read it again. A long time has passed since Sally's accident at the train tracks, but folks around here in Cooper will never forget it. One night, her mama sent her down to the store to get a bottle of milk. It was right about dusk, and her mama told her to be careful on those train tracks because the 6:30 train was expected through any minute. Sally promised her mama she'd be extra careful and set out for the store. Unfortunately, she wasn't as careful as she promised her mama that night. As she crossed the tracks, her foot got stuck, and she tugged and tugged as the train came barreling down the tracks. The engineer tried to stop, but those trains are huge, and it hit Sally dead on. The strangest thing was that all they ever found were her legs. No one knew what happened to the rest of her, but it wasn't long after that night that folks started hearing an odd sound around 6:30 every evening. It was a steady click, click slide that would move from one end of town to the other, looking for a new pair of legs. Some years passed, and it became common practice for kids in town to empty the streets during that time. No one had ever been caught by Sally, but no one ever wanted to be the first either. Meanwhile, adults after so many years had begun to lose their belief in Sally and her slow trek across town. Now it was late one afternoon when Mary's mama called her into the kitchen. "Mary, I'm out of milk and I need you to go to the store." Mary looked at the clock. "But Mama, it's almost 6:30. Mary's mama looked at the clock and looked at her daughter. "I'm sorry, but you know I haven't been feeling well lately. Besides, don't you think you're getting a little too old to be worrying about Sally?" It was busy that night. By the time Mary paid for the milk, it was 6:35 when she stepped outside the store. Her mama's words ringing in her ears, "Don't you think you're a little too old to be worrying about Sally?" Forcing herself to walk at a normal pace back to the house, it wasn't long before she heard the sound behind her. Click, click, slide. "There's nothing there," Mary said out loud. She walked a little faster. Click, click, slide. It wasn't her imagination that time. Mary froze and suddenly turned her head behind her. She dropped the milk and heard it smash as she began to run as fast as she could for home. But to her horror, she only heard the noise become faster and louder behind her. Click, click, slide. Click, click, slide. Mary was 10 feet from her door. Her hand was reaching to grab the doorknob when she caught a glimpse of a dirty blonde hair out of the corner of her eye. As Sally pulled her way through into Mary's front yard, it was only then that Mary remembered her mother locked the door behind her. She began to scream and pound on the door, but Mary's mother had fallen asleep on the couch as she wasn't feeling very well. Click, click, slide. "Mama, please open the door." Click, click, slide. "Help me." Click, click, slide. Silence. A little while later, Mary's mother woke up, wondering where her daughter was. She went to investigate. She opened the door and screamed. Written in blood on the porch was the following message: "Why didn't you open the door, Mama?" But there was no trace of Mary. She was never seen again. That's a little spooky. The next one is a true story. This is a real experience that has happened between me and my best friend. I'm not going to say any names. It's called Creepy Possessed Dolls. I was probably about 15. I was sleeping at my best friend's house, and we were playing in her basement. We came across these two identical dark-skinned dolls that had no clothes on and these big red eyes. They were so creepy looking. It felt like they were watching you, watching your every move. I remember sitting on our deep freezer eating ice cream with the doll sitting across from us. And we felt like they were just staring, just watching, waiting for us to move. Later that night, we headed upstairs to clean up for supper. We felt something behind us on the stairs. Turning around slowly, we seen those two dolls standing behind us. We both screamed and ran up the stairs. Slammed the door. I remember hearing the little tap on the basement door. We opened it a crack and there was the dolls. They were following us. Later that night, when her grandmother got home, we asked her about these dolls, and she said, "What dolls?" We took her downstairs to show her, and the dolls were gone, as if they were never there. She tells us, "I never had any dolls in my basement, girls." To this day, dolls freak the hell out of me, and we don't even know what happened to those dolls. We don't even know if they were real. I just remember being haunted by these two dolls. The next one is called A Little Shadow. I'm the little shadow you see in the corner of your eye. When you're alone in your apartment, watching a scary movie in the dark. Or more accurately, I'm the little shadow you saw in the corner of your eye. Years and 4 months ago. Yes, I've been keeping track of you. I keep track of everyone. We all do. It's our job. We're sent to check up on humans, see how things are going. Mostly it's fine, but I just thought I'd let you know 2 years and 4 months ago is when you last saw me. You caught a glimpse of me, and I looked to the right. It's a good thing you did that, because to your left was a much bigger shadow. Well, shadow isn't really the word. Demon. Whatever you want to call it. If you had seen it, it would have killed you. That's another part of my job. By the way, distract you from those things. I've been checking in on you ever since then, and everything's been fine. Until now. I can't get to you. I can't get you to see me. For some reason, you just won't look my way. So please, whatever you do, don't look to your left. That's a scary one. All right, there is 2 more. The second last one is another true story that has been on and off happening to me since I've been a little girl, and it still happens to me. It is called The Shadow Figure. Growing up, whenever I would get close to someone I knew's death, every night I would be woken from my sleep by this shadow figure. Sitting in my closet, he was this tall-looking figure with overalls on, and he wore a cowboy hat and was holding 2 gun-like figures in his hands. He would never react, just sit there and stare at me. He always gave me such evil vibes. If I got up and went to my mom's room, he would follow me, and he'd sit in her closet. To this day, he still appears whenever someone dies. I have no clue who he is or what he wants. I just know he freaks me out. I thought I had to share that one with you. And the last story is called 7th Barn. A wealthy farmer had owned a lot of land, and built a new barn on his property every time his wife had a baby. He named each barn after each of his children. And by the time this story takes place, they had 6 kids and were expecting number 7. But the farmer's wife died in childbirth, and so did the unborn baby. The farmer went insane with grief. They say the farmer in his madness took an axe one night and led his children out to the barn one by one and murdered them. He murdered their bodies in the 7th barn. It was in the 7th barn that the farmer hung himself. Eventually, as the story goes on, all the barns were torn down and the land was sold off. All except number 7. Nobody would buy the land because of what had happened. It was abandoned and soon fell into disrepair. No one was ever really sure where the 7th barn was located. It was definitely in Ohio, though. In 1997, an Ohio teacher pinpointed the location because barns on neighbors' properties all had nameplates and on the doors with the names of children engraved on them. The teacher and her son set out one night to visit the barn, hoping to capture some paranormal activity. The next morning, the teacher's wife reported her husband and her son missing. Police found their abandoned car by the roadside while searching the area. They entered a barn in a nearby field and found the dead bodies of the teacher and his son hanging from the rafters. And that is it for episode 7 of Lizzoween. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to those spooky stories. I definitely enjoyed reading them. I hope you can sleep tonight after listening to these stories. I hope I didn't scare you too much. Anyways, give this video a big thumbs up. Leave me some comments down below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those are always down below. Subscribe to be a Lizzanator babe. We'll be happy to have you. And always remember that a little magic always goes a long way. And I'll speak to you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.